Have you ever felt like your soul was searching for something it couldn't quite name? Have you noticed that even in crowded rooms, surrounded by noise and activity, there's still this deep longing for genuine peace that seems just out of reach? My dear brothers and sisters, what if I told you that the answer to that restless hunger in your heart is waiting for you right now, just a few blocks away, in perfect silence? What if the most powerful encounter you could ever experience doesn't require traveling anywhere exotic or spending any money, but simply stepping into the nearest chapel where Jesus himself waits for you in the Blessed Sacrament? Today, we're going to uncover something that changed Padre Pio's entire existence, something so profound that it can transform not just your prayer life, but your entire way of being in the world. We're talking about Eucharistic adoration, but not the way most people approach it. We're going to discover the hidden secrets that this great saint revealed about encountering Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament correctly, and more importantly, the critical mistakes that can rob you of the incredible graces waiting for you there. Picture this. Padre Pio spent countless hours before the Blessed Sacrament, and those weren't just quiet moments of reflection. Those were encounters so real, so powerful, that they literally transformed him into one of the greatest mystics in church history. The wounds of Christ appeared on his body, miracles flowed through his intercession, and souls from around the world sought his guidance. And you know what he credited as the wellspring of it all? Those intimate hours with Jesus in the Eucharist. But here's something most people never discover. There's a world of difference between sitting in a chapel and truly encountering Christ in adoration. There are mistakes that can leave you feeling empty instead of filled, restless instead of peaceful, and unchanged instead of transformed. This holy man witnessed these errors repeatedly, and he developed very specific guidance about how to avoid them. If you're ready to discover what real Eucharistic adoration looks like, if you're hungry for that peace that surpasses all understanding, and if you want to learn from one of heaven's greatest teachers, then write in the comments, "Padre Pio, teach me to adore." Your simple act of faith in writing those words can open the door to a completely new chapter in your spiritual journey. But I need to share something important with you. Once you truly grasp what this saint taught about adoration, once you experience what it really means to be in the presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. This isn't just another devotion to add to your routine. This is the gateway to supernatural peace, healing, and transformation that your soul has been crying out for. Are you ready to step into the most important classroom of your spiritual life? Before we explore what happens during adoration, we need to address something that most people completely skip over, and it's costing them dearly. This great saint never just walked into the chapel and settled down in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Never. He understood something that we've forgotten in our hurried, instant gratification world. The moments before you enter Jesus' presence are just as sacred as the moments you spend there. Imagine this scene. Padre Pio would pause at the chapel door, sometimes for several minutes, preparing his heart like someone about to enter the throne room of the King of Kings, because that's exactly what he was doing. He wasn't just going to sit quietly for a while. He was about to stand before the same Jesus who calmed storms, raised the dead, and conquered sin itself. But here's where most of us get it completely wrong. Like trying to have a deep conversation while running a marathon. We rush from our cars, still thinking about traffic or that conversation we just had, maybe checking our phones one last time, and then we wonder why we feel restless and distracted during adoration. We're bringing the chaos of the world directly into the presence of the Prince of Peace, and then we're surprised when we don't feel peaceful. This holy friar taught that the first step isn't even entering the chapel. It's what he called gathering your soul. Think of it like this. Throughout your day, pieces of your attention, your emotions, your thoughts get scattered everywhere like leaves in the wind. A part of you is still replaying that morning argument, Another part is worried about tomorrow's meeting. Another piece is thinking about what to make for dinner. You're not fully present anywhere because you're partially present everywhere. So what did he do? He would stop, usually right outside the chapel, and literally call his soul back to himself. He'd pray something like this: Jesus, I'm coming to you, but I'm bringing all these scattered pieces with me. Help me gather them up and offer them all to you. This wasn't just a nice spiritual exercise. This was practical psychology wrapped in profound spirituality. The second thing this saint always did was examine his conscience, but not in the way you might think. He wasn't looking for a list of sins to feel guilty about. He was looking for anything that might create static between his heart and Jesus' heart: unforgiveness towards someone, pride about something good he'd done, worry about something beyond his control, fear about the future. He would identify these things and hand them over before entering, because he knew that Jesus wanted to give him something beautiful, and he needed his hands empty to receive it. Here's a mistake that breaks this saint's heart even today. We often approach adoration like we're doing Jesus a favor. We think, I'm giving God my time, or I'm being a good Catholic by spending an hour in adoration. But he understood the truth. Jesus is giving you the most precious gift imaginable. He's offering you direct access to his sacred heart, and he's been waiting for you specifically to show up. Think about that for a second. The God who spoke the universe into existence, who holds every star in place, who knows every grain of sand on every beach, is personally waiting for you to come sit with him. Not because he's lonely, but because he loves you with a love so intense that he literally died for you. And now he wants to share that love with you in the most intimate way possible. But there's one more thing this wise saint did that changes everything. Right before entering the chapel, he would ask the Blessed Mother to take his hand and lead him to her Son. He knew that no one understands Jesus' heart like Mary does, and no one can teach you how to love him like she can. This simple prayer, "Mary, take me to Jesus," was like having the perfect guide introduce you to the love of your life. Now you're ready to understand what real Eucharistic adoration looks like. Now you're kneeling before the Blessed Sacrament, your heart prepared, your soul gathered. But here's where things get really interesting, because this great mystic discovered something about silence that most people never learn. He taught that there are actually 3 different types of silence in adoration, and knowing the difference can transform your entire experience, like learning the difference between noise and music. The first type of silence is what he called empty silence. This is when you're physically quiet, but your mind is racing like a hamster on a wheel. You're sitting there, maybe even looking at the monstrance, but internally you're planning tomorrow's schedule, replaying yesterday's mistakes, or wondering what you're going to have for lunch. This isn't really silence at all. It's just noise with your mouth closed. Most people experience this type of silence and then conclude that adoration doesn't work for them. They think they're doing something wrong because they don't feel peace or connection. But here's the truth. Empty silence is actually the starting point, not the destination. It's like the static you hear when you're trying to tune into a radio station. The signal is there, but you haven't found the right frequency yet. The second type of silence is what he called waiting silence. This is when you've managed to quiet the mental chatter, at least somewhat, and you're genuinely trying to listen. You're present, you're attentive, but you're not sure what you're supposed to be hearing. This is actually beautiful progress, even though it might feel frustrating. You're like someone who has stopped talking in a conversation and is actually paying attention to the other person for the first time. In waiting silence, you might not hear words or feel overwhelming emotions, but something subtle is happening. Your breathing might slow down like a gentle tide. That knot of anxiety in your chest might start to loosen. You might notice that the worries that felt so urgent 10 minutes ago don't seem quite as pressing anymore. This is Jesus working on you. even when you can't feel it happening. But then there's the third type of silence, and this is what transformed this saint's entire life. He called it loving silence. This is when the conversation between your heart and Jesus' heart flows so naturally that words become unnecessary. It's not that you hear an audible voice, though sometimes that can happen. It's more like when you're sitting with someone you love so much that you don't need to talk to feel completely connected. In loving silence, you might suddenly understand something about your life that you've been struggling with for months. Or you might feel a wave of peace so profound that it seems to reach into parts of your soul you didn't even know existed. Or sometimes you'll simply know, without any doubt, that you are completely and unconditionally loved. Sarah, a nurse from our community, discovered this loving silence after months of struggling with empty silence during adoration. She was dealing with burnout at work and felt like God had abandoned her during the most difficult season of her life. Week after week, she would go to adoration, feeling nothing but restlessness and doubt. But she kept showing up, kept sitting in that waiting silence, until one evening something shifted. She didn't hear words, but she suddenly understood that every patient she had ever cared for was Jesus in disguise, and that her exhaustion was actually participation in his sacrifice. That understanding didn't come from her own thinking. It was a gift, received in loving silence. But here's the mistake that robs so many people of this experience. We think we need to produce the silence ourselves. We try to force our minds to be quiet, like trying to stop the ocean from making waves. We get frustrated when thoughts intrude, and we give up when we don't feel immediately peaceful. But this holy man understood that silence isn't something you create. It's something you receive. The secret is to stop trying to make something happen and simply offer your restless heart to Jesus. Don't fight the distracting thoughts. Just gently return your attention to him when you notice your mind wandering. Don't demand feelings or insights. Just trust that he's working even when you can't sense it. Jesus revealed something beautiful to this saint about this. I'm not looking for perfect silence from you. I'm looking for faithful presence. Just keep showing up, and I'll do the rest. And that changes everything about how we approach those precious moments before the Blessed Sacrament. Speaking of deepening your prayer life and growing closer to Jesus, I want to share something special with you. Many people who discover the beauty of Eucharistic adoration also find themselves drawn to strengthen their relationship with Jesus through another powerful devotion that this great saint cherished deeply, the Holy Rosary. That's why we've created something truly special called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This isn't just another prayer guide. It's a spiritual treasure that will help you pray the Rosary with the same depth and devotion that he did, complete with his most powerful teachings, 30 days of guided intentions, and special prayers for protection and healing that he used throughout his life. The beautiful thing is how perfectly the Rosary complements Eucharistic adoration. Many saints, including this holy friar, would pray the Rosary in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, allowing Mary to guide their hearts to her Son in an even deeper way. If you want to transform your prayer life with this powerful combination, simply click the link pinned in the comments below. Now here's something beautiful that this great saint taught. Authentic Eucharistic adoration always produces fruit in your daily life. It's not something that stays locked away in a chapel like a secret treasure. It's like good soil that produces a harvest you can see, touch, and share with others. But how do you know if your adoration is real or if you're just going through the motions? This holy man had very specific signs to look for, and they might surprise you because they're not what most people expect. The first sign is what he called supernatural patience. You'll notice that situations that used to make you lose your temper don't have the same power over you anymore. That difficult co-worker, who used to ruin your entire day with one sarcastic comment. Suddenly you find yourself responding with kindness instead of defensiveness. The traffic jam that used to make you honk and curse. You might catch yourself praying for the other drivers instead. This isn't you trying harder to be patient, like gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to be nice. This is Jesus' own patience flowing through you because you've been sitting in his presence, absorbing his peace like a sponge absorbs water. The second sign is increased compassion for people who are struggling. This saint noticed that people who truly encounter Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament start seeing others the way Jesus sees them. Instead of being annoyed by the person ahead of you in line who's taking forever, you might find yourself wondering if they're having a difficult day and offering a silent prayer for them. You'll start noticing the lonely, the hurting, the lost in ways you never did before. And here's the beautiful part. You'll want to help them, not because you should, but because Jesus' own heart of compassion is awakening in you like flowers blooming in spring. The third sign is what he called holy detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring about things. It means you stop being controlled by things. You might find that losing money doesn't devastate you the way it used to, or that not getting something you wanted doesn't throw you into despair. You start trusting that God is taking care of you, and that trust isn't just an idea in your head, it's a deep peace in your soul. But here's where people make a dangerous mistake. They expect to feel wonderful all the time. They think that if their adoration is authentic, they should always leave the chapel feeling emotionally high, spiritually consoled, and personally inspired. When they experience what St. John of the Cross called spiritual dryness, when they don't feel anything special during adoration, they conclude that they're doing something wrong. This wise saint had strong words about this error. He said that some of the most powerful adorations happen when you feel absolutely nothing. Why? Because you're learning to love Jesus for who he is, not for how he makes you feel. You're developing real faith, not just emotional dependence. Think about it this way. If you only spent time with your best friend when they made you feel good, what kind of friendship would that be? But if you choose to be with them even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like talking, even when you're going through a difficult season, that's real love. That's the kind of relationship Jesus wants with you. Maria, a mother of 4 from our parish, learned this lesson in a powerful way. She'd been going to adoration for 2 years, always hoping to feel that sense of peace and closeness to God. But life got increasingly stressful with work demands and family responsibilities, and her adoration time started feeling dry and empty like a desert. She almost quit, thinking she was wasting her time. But she decided to keep going, even when she felt nothing, even when she was exhausted, even when her mind was full of worries, and something amazing happened. Her family started noticing changes in her. Her husband commented that she seemed calmer during crises. Her children said she was more fun to be around. Her co-workers mentioned that she seemed less stressed despite having the same workload. The fruits of her adoration were showing up everywhere, except in her feelings during adoration itself. She was receiving Jesus, peace, patience, and love, but it was manifesting in her daily life rather than in emotional consolations during prayer. Here's what this great saint understood. Jesus doesn't always give you what you expect from adoration, but he always gives you what you need. Sometimes what you need is comfort and peace. Sometimes what you need is strength for a difficult battle. Sometimes what you need is the grace to love someone who seems unlovable. The real question isn't whether you feel something during adoration. The real question is whether the people in your life are receiving more of Jesus' love through you. Now let's get down to the practical details that this holy friar actually taught people who came to him seeking guidance on adoration. These aren't just nice ideas or spiritual theories floating around in books. These are battle-tested methods that he used himself and shared with thousands of souls over his lifetime. First, he always encouraged people to bring their rosary to adoration, but not for the reason you might think. He didn't necessarily pray the entire rosary every time. Instead, he would hold it in his hands as a physical anchor. When his mind started to wander, when distractions crept in like uninvited guests, he would gently run the beads through his fingers as a way of returning his attention to Jesus. The tactile sensation helped ground him in the present moment. He also taught a beautiful technique he called breathing with Jesus. This sounds simple, but it's profound, like many of the deepest truths. As you sit before the Blessed Sacrament, you consciously slow your breathing and imagine that each breath in is receiving Jesus, peace, and each breath out is offering him your worries, your sins, your entire self. It's not just a relaxation technique, it's a prayer of surrender that happens with your whole body. Another practice this saint swore by was what he called holy gazing. Instead of closing your eyes and trying to focus internally, he would simply look at the monstrance and let his eyes rest there softly. Not staring intensely like you're trying to solve a puzzle, not trying to see something supernatural, just gentle, loving attention. He said it was like the way a person looks at someone they love deeply. You're not analyzing or studying. You're just enjoying their presence. But here's where people often stumble with these methods. They turn them into rigid formulas like following a recipe for holiness. They think they have to pray the rosary in a specific way, or breathe at a certain rhythm, or gaze for a precise amount of time. That's missing the whole point. These are tools to help you connect with Jesus, not rules to follow perfectly. This holy man also had a beautiful practice with holy water and sacramentals. He would bless himself with holy water when he entered the chapel, not as a superstition like carrying a lucky charm, but as a reminder that he was entering sacred space. He wore his brown scapular, carried his rosary, and sometimes placed a small crucifix in his hands during adoration. These weren't magic objects. They were physical reminders of spiritual realities. The key is personalization within reverence. This wise saint encouraged people to discover what helped them connect with Jesus most deeply. Some people find that reading scripture quietly enhances their adoration. Others prefer complete silence. Some like to kneel the entire time. Others find that sitting allows them to be more present and less distracted by physical discomfort. But there's one error that he consistently corrected: the mistake of performance spirituality. This is when people think they need to appear holy to others or even to Jesus himself. They worry about whether they're kneeling properly, whether their prayers sound eloquent enough, whether they look sufficiently devout to other people in the chapel. This saint would say, Jesus doesn't care if you're kneeling or sitting, if your hair is perfect or messy, if you're wearing your Sunday best or your work clothes. He cares about your heart. He actually encouraged people to come to adoration directly from work, from the grocery store, from wherever life had taken them that day. Jesus wants to meet you in your real life, not in some artificial version of yourself that you think is more acceptable. The most important method he taught was consistency over intensity. He preferred someone who came to adoration for 15 minutes every week over someone who came for 3 hours once a month. Why? Because relationship is built through regular contact, like tending a garden daily, not grand gestures. Your relationship with Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament is exactly that, a relationship. And like any relationship, it grows through faithful presence, honest communication, and genuine love. My dear friends, as we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to understand something that this great saint never stopped marveling at. Every single moment you spend before the Blessed Sacrament is a moment that echoes into eternity. It's not just time well spent like reading a good book or having a pleasant conversation. It's time that participates in the very life of heaven itself. This holy man used to say that when we kneel before Jesus in the Eucharist, We're joining our voices to the endless song of praise that the angels and saints are singing around the throne of God. We're not alone in that chapel. We're part of a cosmic worship that spans time and space, connecting us to every believer who has ever lived and every saint who has ever loved. But more than that, we're connecting with the heart of Jesus himself. The same heart that beat in Mary's womb, the same heart that broke with compassion for the crowds, the same heart that was pierced on the cross for your salvation, is beating right there in the monstrance, alive and present and completely focused on you like you're the only person in the universe. This is why this great saint could spend hours in adoration and never get bored. He understood that he wasn't just sitting in a quiet room. He was having the most important conversation of his life over and over again with the person who loved him more than anyone else ever could. And that same invitation is extended to you. Not because you're perfect, not because you have all the right prayers memorized, not because you're already holy, but because you're loved, exactly as you are, right now, with all your struggles and doubts and imperfections, like a parent loves their child unconditionally. So here's my challenge for you. This week, find 15 minutes to sit with Jesus in adoration. Use what you've learned today about preparing your heart, about embracing the different types of silence, about recognizing the fruits in your daily life. Try some of these practical methods and see what resonates with your soul. But most importantly, don't go alone. Ask the Blessed Mother to take your hand and lead you to her Son. She's been doing that for 2,000 years, and she never gets tired of introducing hearts to the love of Jesus. I want to hear about your experience. Come back to this video and tell us in the comments, what did you discover about Jesus in adoration? What surprised you? What challenged you? What brought you peace? Your testimony could be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take that first step into the chapel. Remember, every saint started exactly where you are right now, longing for more of God and willing to seek Him with sincere hearts. This great saint is cheering you on from heaven, and Jesus is waiting for you with infinite patience and infinite love. Before we close with prayer, I want to share something from my heart. This channel exists for one beautiful purpose: to help souls like yours discover the incredible love that Jesus has for them through the teachings and intercession of this great saint. Every video we create, every story we share, every teaching we explore is meant to be a bridge that leads you closer to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. But here's the truth: we can't build these bridges alone. We need your help to carry this message of love and hope to every corner of the world where hearts are hungry for God. When you hit that like button, you're not just showing us you enjoyed the video. You're telling the algorithm that this message matters, that faith matters, that people need to hear about the peace that can be found in Eucharistic adoration. When you share this video with your family and friends, you're becoming a missionary of hope, like the apostles spreading the good news. You might be placing exactly the right message in front of someone who desperately needs to hear that Jesus is waiting for them in the Blessed Sacrament. And when you subscribe and become a member of our spiritual family, you're joining a community of believers who are committed to growing in faith together, learning from the saints together, and supporting each other on this beautiful journey toward heaven. Let's close with the prayer that this holy saint himself used to say after adoration: Jesus, hidden in the Blessed Sacrament, thank you for these moments of grace. Help me to carry your peace into the world, and may everyone I meet today see your love reflected in my actions. Blessed Mother, keep me close to your Son's Sacred Heart. Amen. Have you ever felt that deep ache in your heart when you think about someone you love who has passed away? Have you noticed how that longing seems to whisper that somehow, somewhere, they're still waiting for your prayers? Dear brothers and sisters, August 13th is not an ordinary day. It's a day when Mary opens the gates of mercy in a very special way for the souls in purgatory. A day that doesn't make headlines, that few remember, but that in heaven is celebrated as a true feast of compassion. On this date, the Mother's love pours out especially over those souls waiting to see eternal light. What you do on this day can change not only the destiny of your loved ones who have already departed, but also the course of your own life. The saints knew this. The mystics repeated it constantly. Padre Pio confirmed it again and again. The souls in purgatory cannot help themselves, but they can help us more than we can imagine. When you comfort them, they intercede for you with eternal gratitude. That special day is much closer than you think. It's August 13th. And today, I want to share with you 3 concrete actions that, if you do them with faith, will open a river of graces, both for the souls you love and for your own heart. Think about it for a moment. Right now, as you listen to these words, there might be someone you miss deeply who is counting on your prayers. Your grandmother who taught you to pray. Your father who worked so hard for the family. A friend who left too soon. They cannot pray for themselves anymore, but your prayers can be their lifeline to eternal peace. If you believe in the power of prayer for our departed loved ones, write in the comments, Padre Pio, intercede for the souls of my dear ones. Your faith and your comment help this message reach more hearts that need to hear it. What I'm about to reveal comes from centuries of Catholic tradition, from the testimonies of saints, and from the profound wisdom of Padre Pio himself. These aren't just pious suggestions. They are spiritual weapons that have the power to open heaven's doors. The souls in purgatory are waiting. Mary is listening, and you hold the key that can set them free. Are you ready to discover what you can do on August 13th to transform both their eternity and your own life? Let's dive deep into this mystery of love that transcends death itself. August 13th carries a profound connection to Marian devotion and mercy toward the souls suffering in purgatory. This date is tied to the apparitions of Fatima, where in August 1917, the Virgin could not appear on the 13th as planned because the little shepherds were imprisoned by local authorities who didn't believe their story. But on that very same day, while Jacinta, Francisco, and Lucia were locked away, something extraordinary happened. These children offered their pain, their confinement, and their fear for the conversion of sinners. That act of silent love carries an eternal message. Suffering offered with love has the power to save souls. This is exactly what happens when we pray for the souls in purgatory. They wait in hope. They trust in our prayers. And Mary, Mother of Mercy, bends down to receive our intercessions and carry them to Jesus. Saint Faustina Kowalska wrote about a powerful vision she received. I saw the guardian angel leading me to purgatory. There was a sea of souls who begged me for prayers. The intensity of their longing was almost unbearable. They couldn't speak, but their eyes communicated everything, a desperate hope for relief from their purification. The Virgin revealed to Saint Faustina, pray much for them, because they are very dear to my Son. These words should pierce our hearts. Our departed loved ones are not forgotten by heaven. They are precious to Jesus, and he desires their swift entrance into his glory. Think about this truth. Every soul in purgatory will eventually reach heaven. They are the saved, not the lost. But their journey to perfect purification can be shortened by our prayers, our sacrifices, and our love. We have the incredible privilege of participating in their salvation story. Padre Pio understood this mystery deeply. He often said that the souls in purgatory would visit him, asking for prayers and masses. He could see them, speak with them, and witness firsthand how our earthly actions directly impact their spiritual state. When you help a soul in purgatory, he explained, you gain a friend in heaven who will never forget your kindness. The connection between August 13th and the souls in purgatory goes beyond historical coincidence. It represents the heart of our Catholic faith, that love transcends death, that the Church includes not just the living, but also those who have gone before us, and that we are all connected in the mystical body of Christ. St. John Vianney, the curé of Ars, had frequent encounters with souls from purgatory. He taught his parishioners that these souls appear to us not to frighten us, but to ask for our help. Indeed, they cannot do anything for themselves, he would say, but once they reach heaven, they become powerful intercessors for those who helped them. This is why August 13th becomes so significant. It's a day when we can intentionally focus our spiritual energy on those who need it most, our beloved dead who are being purified by God's merciful fire. The Church has always taught us that our prayers, sacrifices, and good works can be offered for the souls in purgatory, providing them relief and hastening their entry into eternal bliss. But here's what many people don't realize. When we help these souls, we're not just being charitable, we're making an investment in our own spiritual future. These grateful souls become our advocates in heaven, praying for us with the fervor that only comes from having experienced God's mercy firsthand. So as we approach this sacred understanding of August 13th, prepare your heart for what comes next. The 3 actions I'm about to share aren't just spiritual exercises. They are bridges of love that connect your heart to theirs, your prayers to heaven's mercy, and your life to the eternal communion of saints. The first thing you must do on August 13th is pray the Rosary, specifically offered for the souls in purgatory. But this isn't just any ordinary rosary. This is a lifeline thrown across the veil between worlds. Padre Pio called the Rosary the chain that connects heaven, earth, and purgatory. Picture that for a moment. Every bead you touch creates a link in an unbreakable chain of prayer that reaches directly into the realm where your loved ones wait for relief. For those new to this beautiful devotion, let me guide you through this step by step. Take your rosary in your hands. If you don't have one, you can pray on your fingers or even download a rosary app on your phone. The important thing isn't the physical beads, but the love in your heart. Begin by making the sign of the cross and saying the Apostles' Creed. Then pray 1 Our Father, 3 Hail Marys for faith, hope, and charity, and 1 Glory be. Now you're ready for the decades, the heart of the Rosary. Here's what makes August 13th special. Make a conscious decision to pray the entire Rosary for the souls in purgatory, especially for those who were part of your life. Your parents, grandparents, friends, siblings, anyone whose memory still brings both joy and that tender ache of missing them. Between each mystery, pause briefly to speak their names mentally. Don't rush through this. Let their faces come to mind. Remember their laughter, their struggles, their love for you. As you begin each decade, whisper silently, "For you, Mom. For you, Dad. For you, dear friend, whose name I carry in my heart." Now, as you pray each Hail Mary, imagine something beautiful happening. Picture each prayer as a drop of cool water falling upon souls in a desert, bringing instant relief. Visualize golden light surrounding them, warming them with God's love. St. Alphonsus Liguori taught us, prayers for the dead not only relieve their sufferings, but also obtain great graces for ourselves from God. This isn't just symbolic thinking, it's spiritual reality. Your prayers create actual relief for these souls. Think of it like sending care packages to prisoners of war or bringing medicine to the sick. Your Hail Marys become their comfort. Your devotion becomes their hope. If you're just beginning your prayer life, don't worry about perfection. God looks at your heart, not your technique. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. If you lose count, it doesn't matter. Keep going with love. The souls in purgatory are grateful for every prayer, even the imperfect ones. If possible, pray your rosary in front of an image of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the patroness of the souls in purgatory. She has a special mission to help these souls, and she waits for our prayers so she can present them to her Son. The brown scapular devotion promises that she will come to purgatory on the Saturday after death to free those who wore it devoutly. but our prayers can speed that process even more. Here's a practical tip. Create a quiet, sacred space in your home. Light a candle, place a picture of your departed loved ones nearby, and settle in for this holy conversation. Turn off distractions. This isn't multitasking time, this is sacred time. As you pray your Rosary on August 13th, don't just recite words, pour your heart into every Ave Maria. Let your love for these souls fill each prayer. Remember that they can hear you, that they feel your love reaching across the divide between life and death. Some people worry, but how do I know if my prayers are really helping? Here's what the saints tell us. Every single prayer offered with love makes a difference. St. Gertrude received this promise from Jesus. Every time you pray with sincere love for the souls in purgatory, you shorten their suffering and increase their joy. The Rosary becomes particularly powerful because it involves Mary directly in your petition. She, who stood at the foot of the cross and offered her Son for our salvation, understands the pain of loss better than anyone. When you ask her to intercede for your departed loved ones, you're asking a mother to help other souls reach her Son. So on August 13th, set aside at least 20 minutes for this complete Rosary. Don't let distractions pull you away. Enter into this sacred conversation with heaven. Let each mystery remind you that death is not the end, but a doorway. And your prayers can help your loved ones walk through that door more quickly into eternal joy. But the Rosary, powerful as it is just the beginning. There's something even more powerful you can offer, and that's exactly what we'll explore next. The second action you must take on August 13th is to offer the Holy Mass or your communion for the souls in purgatory. There is no prayer more powerful than the Holy Mass. One single Mass offered for a soul can mean an immense leap forward in their purification. Padre Pio revealed something that should change how we think about Mass forever. So many souls leave purgatory each time a Mass is celebrated that if we knew the number, we would spend the entire day attending them. Can you imagine that? Every Mass is like a great exodus from purgatory to heaven. If you can attend Mass on August 13th, make it your intention to offer the entire celebration for the souls of your departed loved ones. This isn't just about showing up. It's about entering into the sacred mystery with a specific purpose burning in your heart. For those unfamiliar with making a Mass intention, here's how. Before Mass begins, kneel quietly and speak to Jesus in your heart. Say something like, "Dear Jesus, I offer this entire Mass for the souls of my departed loved ones, especially for name them. Please receive this sacrifice for their purification and peace." During the consecration, when the priest lifts the host and then the chalice, present the names of your loved ones silently to Jesus. Say in your heart, "Lord Jesus, through your precious blood, purify and receive these souls into your light." Picture their faces. Speak their names. Let your love for them fill that moment when heaven touches earth. The Mass makes present the very sacrifice that opened heaven's gates. When you offer it for the souls in purgatory, you're bringing the infinite merits of Christ's passion directly to bear on their situation. Nothing on earth has more power to help them. But what if you can't physically attend Mass on August 13th? Don't let that stop you. Make a spiritual communion from your home. A spiritual communion made with sincere love can carry tremendous consolation when circumstances don't allow physical attendance. Here's exactly how to make a powerful spiritual communion. Find a quiet moment around the time of your local Mass. If possible, find out when your parish is celebrating Mass and pray at that same time. Kneel if you can and speak directly to Jesus using these words or similar ones from your heart. "Jesus, I cannot receive you sacramentally right now, but I desire you with all my heart. Come into my soul spiritually. I believe in you, I hope in you, I love you. I offer this spiritual communion for the souls of my beloved dead, especially for name them one by one. Let them feel your mercy and love through my prayer. Saint Gertrude the Great received an extraordinary promise from Jesus about prayers for the souls in purgatory. Every time you pray with love for the departed, countless souls receive relief. The principle is clear. Prayers offered with genuine love have tremendous power to free souls. The reason Mass is so effective is because it makes present the very moment when Jesus conquered death. Every Mass is Calvary made present again. When you offer that sacrifice for the souls in purgatory, you're applying the infinite value of Christ's death directly to their purification. Think about this. Your loved ones in purgatory cannot earn merit for themselves anymore. Their time for merit-making ended at death, but you can still earn merit, and you can transfer that merit to them through your prayers and especially through offering the Mass for their benefit. When you attend Mass on August 13th with this intention, something beautiful happens in the spiritual realm. The souls you're praying for feel the relief. They experience the cooling touch of Christ's mercy, and they don't forget who made that possible. St. John Vianney used to say, "When we give something to the poor or to souls, God returns it multiplied." The souls you help will become your advocates in heaven, praying for you with gratitude that will last for all eternity. So mark August 13th on your calendar right now. Find out the Mass times at your local church. If you can't attend, plan your spiritual communion for the same time your parish is celebrating. Either way, make this offering with all the love in your heart. Let your departed loved ones feel your care, reaching across the veil between worlds. But there's still one more powerful action you can take, an action that moves the heart of God in a very special way. Speaking of the power of prayer, especially the Rosary we just discussed, I want to share something special that can deepen your prayer life even more. Many of you have been asking for guidance on how to pray the Rosary with greater devotion and understanding, especially when offering it for the souls in purgatory. That's why we've created the Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, miracles, protection, and divine graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with more devotion and depth, discover the miracles and testimonies of those who have experienced its power, and understand Padre Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer. You'll also receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, plus special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. The third thing you must do on August 13th is perform an act of charity or penance. Prayer moves the heart of God, but sacrifice and charity create a symphony that heaven cannot resist. This is where your faith transforms from words into action, from thoughts into love made visible. On August 13th, choose one concrete act that requires something of you. It could be giving alms to someone in need, visiting someone who is sick, reconciling with a person you've had conflict with, or giving up something you enjoy as penance. The important thing isn't the magnitude of the gesture, it's the love with which you do it. Let me give you some specific ideas that anyone can do, regardless of their circumstances. If you have financial means, give money to someone who truly needs it, not your spare change, but an amount that you'll actually miss. If money is tight, give your time instead. Call someone who's lonely. Write a thank you note to someone who helped you. Forgive someone who hurt you and let them know you've forgiven them. Maybe your sacrifice is giving up your favorite meal for the day, choosing not to watch that show you always enjoy, or deciding not to complain about something that normally bothers you. Perhaps it's cleaning someone's house without being asked, or offering to run errands for an elderly neighbor. For those dealing with physical limitations, your sacrifice might be offering up your pain for the souls in purgatory, or making extra prayers instead of acts of service. Remember, God sees the heart, not just the action. While you're performing this act, say silently in your heart, Lord, I offer this for the souls in purgatory, especially for name your loved ones. This simple prayer transforms your action into a spiritual offering that reaches across the divide between life and death. Padre Pio reminded us constantly, silent sacrifice is the purest incense that rises to heaven. Think about that image. Your small acts of love become like sweet-smelling incense that pleases God and brings relief to the souls who are being purified by His merciful fire. The key is intentionality, doing something that costs you something, however small, and offering it with love. It's the difference between accidentally dropping $1 and deliberately giving it away. One is meaningless, the other is worship. St. John Vianney taught, when we give something to the poor or to souls, God returns it multiplied. This isn't just about earthly rewards, though those often come. It's about the spiritual economy of heaven, where every act of love creates ripple effects that extend far beyond what we can see. There's something profound that happens when you combine charity with prayer for the dead. Your act of love becomes a bridge that connects your earthly generosity with their heavenly need. The souls in purgatory witness your sacrifice and know it's being offered for them. They experience relief, and you receive their gratitude and intercession. Your act of charity doesn't have to be dramatic or expensive. What matters is that it comes from your heart and requires you to give something up. Maybe you're dealing with financial struggles. Then give your time and attention instead of money. Maybe you're physically limited. Then offer prayers and encouraging words to people who need hope. The souls in purgatory understand sacrifice better than we do. They're experiencing purification themselves, learning to let go of everything that kept them from perfect union with God. When you offer your small sacrifices for them, they recognize a kindred spirit, someone who understands that love requires giving something up. So plan your act of charity for August 13th right now. Choose something specific, something that will require you to step outside your comfort zone or give up something you value. Write it down. Put it on your calendar. And as you do it, remember that your loved ones are watching, grateful and ready to intercede for you in ways that will surprise you. Now let me share with you a story that will show you just how powerful these 3 actions can be when done together with genuine love. Let me tell you about Rose, a 52-year-old woman who had been carrying a burden that felt heavier than anything she'd ever experienced. Her relationship with her daughter had been shattered for 3 years after a family argument that started over something small but grew into something that seemed impossible to heal. Rose's daughter had accused her of favoritism toward her siblings. Words were exchanged that couldn't be taken back, and both women were too proud to make the first move toward reconciliation. Rose cried herself to sleep many nights, wondering if she would ever hold her grandchildren again or share another holiday with her daughter. Last August 13th, Rose woke up with a determination she hadn't felt in months. She spent an hour praying the complete Rosary for her deceased parents and her late husband, holding their wedding photo while she spoke their names between each mystery. She could almost feel their presence as she asked them to intercede for her broken family. Then Rose attended the 8 a.m. Mass at her parish, arriving early to pray before the tabernacle. She whispered the names of her loved ones during the consecration, tears streaming down her face as she offered the entire sacrifice for their souls and for the healing of her family. For her act of charity, Rose prepared her late mother's special lasagna recipe and took it to her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, who had been struggling after a recent surgery. As she handed over the warm dish, Rose whispered a prayer. "Mom, Dad, I offer this act of love for your souls. Please help them, and please help heal my family." Mrs. Patterson was so moved by Rose's kindness that they talked for over 2 hours about loss, forgiveness, and family. For the first time in months, Rose felt a lightness in her heart, as if invisible chains had been broken. 1 week later, Rose's phone rang at 7 p.m. It was her daughter, calling through tears to say she'd been thinking about their family constantly and couldn't bear the separation any longer. They talked for 3 hours that night, both apologizing, both crying, both grateful for the chance to rebuild their relationship. Rose firmly believes it was the grateful souls who softened my daughter's heart. I helped them find peace, and they helped me find my family again. August 13th is not just another date on your calendar. It's an opportunity to love beyond death itself. It's your chance to tell your departed loved ones, I haven't forgotten you. I'm still here, praying, hoping, waiting to meet you again in heaven. Padre Pio said it perfectly. Between the souls in purgatory and you, there must be a bridge of prayer. They are waiting for you, and you need them more than you know. Think about that truth for a moment. Right now, someone you love is waiting for your prayers. They're counting on you to remember them, to lift them up, to help speed their journey home to God. This year, don't let August 13th pass by unnoticed. Prepare your rosary and plan to pray it completely for your deceased loved ones. Find out the Mass schedule at your church, or prepare for a heartfelt spiritual communion. Think about what act of charity or sacrifice you can offer, something that will cost you a little but will mean everything to them. These 3 actions aren't just spiritual exercises. They are bridges of love that connect your heart to theirs, your prayers to heaven's mercy, and your life to the eternal communion of saints. When you do these things with genuine love, you'll see how God's peace and grace begin to flow into your own life as well. The souls in purgatory can't help themselves anymore, but they can help us in ways we never imagined. They become our advocates, our intercessors, our friends in high places. They don't forget who showed them love when they needed it most. Let me leave you with this beautiful prayer that you can say on August 13th. Virgin Mary, Mother of Mercy, today I present to you the souls of my beloved ones who are in purgatory. Take them by the hand and lead them to Jesus. For every bead of my rosary, for every Mass offered, and for every act of love, pour your light upon them. And when they reach eternal glory, may they remember me and help me find my way home to you. Amen. Brothers and sisters, we are not just creating content here. We are building a community of faith that spans both earth and heaven. Every time you engage with these messages by leaving a like, sharing this video with someone who needs to hear it, or becoming a member of our spiritual family, you're helping us reach more hearts that are hungry for hope. Your support allows us to continue spreading these life-changing teachings of Padre Pio and the wisdom of our Catholic faith. When you hit that like button, you're not just supporting a channel, you're participating in a mission to bring comfort to grieving hearts and strength to struggling souls. If these teachings have touched your heart today, please write thank you in the comments. Your gratitude helps this message reach more people who need to discover the power of praying for their departed loved ones. Share this video with someone you know who has lost someone they love. They need to know that death is not the end of love, but the beginning of a new way to show it. Remember, August 13th is coming. Don't let it slip by. Your loved ones are waiting, heaven is listening, and you have the power to make a difference that will echo through eternity. Until we meet again, may God bless you and keep you close to His heart. Have you ever felt an inexplicable presence when kneeling before the Blessed Sacrament? That sudden warmth in your chest, that unexpected tear rolling down your cheek, or that profound peace that seems to come from nowhere? These aren't just emotions, they're sacred encounters. And today I'll reveal what Padre Pio actually saw happening in that holy moment when we approach the Eucharist. This revelation changed thousands of lives and might forever transform your relationship with God. If you've ever wondered why some people experience the divine while others feel nothing, stay until the end. The last revelation is the most powerful one Padre Pio shared with only his closest confidants. Before we continue, if you believe in the power of the Blessed Sacrament, write in the comments, Jesus, I adore you, present in the Eucharist. Your faith declaration helps spread this message to those who need it most. What exactly happens in those sacred moments before the tabernacle? For most of us, it seems like nothing extraordinary. We kneel, pray, and perhaps feel a sense of reverence. But through Padre Pio's mystical gifts, we can glimpse beyond the veil of ordinary perception. This humble Capuchin friar, whose hands bore the wounds of Christ for over 50 years, was blessed with an extraordinary vision. He could see the supernatural reality hidden from our limited human senses. "When I stand before the Blessed Sacrament," Padre Pio once confided to a spiritual son, "I see such glory that no words could ever describe it." If people knew what happens at that moment, churches would be overflowing day and night. The truth is that a profound transformation begins the moment you approach the Eucharist with faith. Something happens, not just around you, but within you. And today, through the mystical eyes of Padre Pio, I'm going to take you on a journey to discover what truly happens in that sacred moment. Revelations that might forever change how you experience the presence of God. Padre Pio explained that the space around the Blessed Sacrament is never empty. Countless angels gather in perpetual adoration, bowing before the King of Kings. They form a heavenly court that surrounds the host, creating a shield of pure devotion. According to Padre Pio, these angels don't just passively adore, they actively transmit graces to those present who open their hearts. The angels are God's messengers, he would say, carrying our prayers upward and bringing divine blessings downward. This invisible exchange happens continuously, whether we perceive it or not. Think about that. Right now, in every tabernacle around the world, this celestial gathering is taking place, waiting for souls to join in worship. Padre Pio often described seeing angels flanking the altar during Mass, their faces reflecting the glory emanating from the Eucharist. During the consecration, when bread and wine become the body and blood of Christ, he witnessed these heavenly beings prostrating themselves in profound adoration. Their presence intensifies the sacred space, creating what Padre Pio called a cathedral of light around the tabernacle. This angelic reality explains why many sensitive souls report feeling a distinct atmosphere in churches where the Blessed Sacrament is reserved. That subtle pressure in your chest, that feeling of walking into a thicker atmosphere. These are echoes of the angelic presence that Padre Pio perceived with perfect clarity. Our souls sense what our eyes cannot see. Even more astonishing is what Padre Pio observed about our personal guardian angels in the presence of the Eucharist. He saw that when we approach the Blessed Sacrament, our guardian angel bows deeply and steps slightly aside, creating a direct channel between us and Christ. This angel then assumes a protective stance, shielding us from distractions and spiritual interferences that might interrupt this sacred communion. Have you ever found yourself unexpectedly thinking of someone while in adoration? Padre Pio would explain that this is often your guardian angel bringing this person to your spiritual attention, inviting you to include them in the graces of the moment. Nothing before the Blessed Sacrament is coincidental. Even your thoughts are being gently guided toward divine purposes. The most beautiful aspect of what Padre Pio witnessed was how our presence before the Eucharist brings joy to these heavenly beings. The angels rejoice, he once said, when even one soul joins their eternal adoration. Your decision to spend time before the Blessed Sacrament literally brightens the celestial court. Have you noticed how some saints seem to be physically affected by the Eucharist? Teresa of Avila levitated during adoration. Catherine of Siena survived on nothing but the host for years. These weren't isolated miracles. They were visible manifestations of an invisible reality that Padre Pio witnessed daily. He saw that when we approach the Blessed Sacrament with genuine faith, a profound transformation begins. The very atoms of our being start to align with divine presence. A luminous exchange occurs, our humanity touching divinity, creating a sacred bridge between heaven and earth. Padre Pio described seeing a gentle light emanating from the host, reaching out like golden rays toward those in prayer. These rays didn't touch everyone equally. They seemed to seek out those whose hearts were most receptive. The Lord respects our freedom, Padre Pio explained. He never forces himself upon us. He stands at the door of our hearts and knocks, waiting to be invited in. Those who came with sincere hearts, regardless of their past sins or present struggles, received these rays most abundantly. The light would envelop them, working invisibly to heal spiritual wounds, strengthen virtues, and impart wisdom that transcends human understanding. The transformation that occurs during Eucharistic adoration happens in layers, beginning from the outside and gradually penetrating to our core. First, our thoughts begin to slow and our emotions settle, like muddy water becoming clear when left undisturbed. This explains the immediate sense of peace many experience. Then at a deeper level, our will, our capacity to choose, becomes gradually aligned with God's will. This is why regular adorers often report finding clarity for difficult decisions after spending time before the Blessed Sacrament. Most profoundly, Padre Pio witnessed a transformation at the level of the soul itself, what he described as a divine imprinting. Just as wax takes the impression of a seal, our souls receive the imprint of Christ's presence, becoming more configured to him. This explains why people who regularly spend time in adoration often begin to reflect Christ's attributes more clearly in their daily lives. Greater patience, selfless love, unexpected courage, and a peace that persists even in trials. One of the most beautiful transformations Padre Pio observed was how past wounds begin to heal in the Eucharistic presence. He saw that when people brought their deepest hurts before the Lord, often without even mentioning them in prayer, the light from the host would gently surround these wounded areas of their souls, beginning a restoration that sometimes took months or years to complete. The most profound healing, he would say, often happens in silence, beyond words, when we simply expose our brokenness to the divine physician. This healing light affects not just our spiritual dimension, but can extend to our physical bodies as well. Padre Pio witnessed countless physical healings originating from time spent before the Blessed Sacrament, some immediate and dramatic, others gradual and subtle. He understood that the body and soul are intimately connected, and that divine life flowing into the soul eventually brings restoration to the body as well, according to God's wisdom and timing. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this transformation is that it continues even after we leave the physical presence of the Eucharist. Padre Pio explained that each encounter with the Blessed Sacrament plants seeds that continue to grow, often bearing fruit days, weeks, or even years later. Your time there is never wasted, even when you feel nothing at all. If you desire to deepen this connection and experience more of these mystical realities that Padre Pio revealed, we've prepared something special for you. Our ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio, contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice to strengthen your spirituality. This resource will help you understand the profound mysteries we're discussing today and apply them to your daily spiritual life. The book includes Padre Pio's guidance on developing a deeper relationship with the Eucharist, recognizing spiritual movements in your soul, and cultivating the receptivity needed to experience God's presence more fully. Thousands have already found this treasure helpful in transforming their prayer lives and deepening their spiritual connection. Click the link pinned in the comments to access this special resource that can help you experience the profound presence we're discussing today. Now let's continue with what Padre Pio witnessed happening within us during these sacred moments of adoration. One of Padre Pio's most remarkable testimonies comes from a night in 1918 when he was praying alone in the monastery chapel. He witnessed the Blessed Sacrament radiating with such intensity that the entire sanctuary seemed ablaze. In that luminous moment, he saw countless souls, some he recognized as having died years before, gathering around the host in worship. They moved in and out of the light, being purified and transformed. The Eucharist, he later explained to his spiritual director, is the center not just of this world, but of purgatory and heaven as well. It is the beating heart of the entire mystical body. This vision revealed that Eucharistic adoration has effects that extend beyond our earthly realm, offering solace and purification even to souls in purgatory. Padre Pio often taught that when we adore the Blessed Sacrament, we join a communion that transcends time and space. Our prayers unite with those of the Church triumphant in heaven, the Church suffering in purgatory, and the Church militant on earth. This explains the profound sense of connection many experience during adoration. In that moment, the veil between worlds grows thin, and we participate in the eternal worship that will be our heavenly occupation. This reality helps us understand why the simplest prayer before the Eucharist can have such tremendous power. Your humble adoration, joined with the perfect worship of angels and saints, becomes amplified beyond measure. Padre Pio would compare it to a single drop of water falling into an ocean of grace. It merges with something infinitely greater than itself. Even more profound is what Padre Pio observed happening to our interior spiritual landscape during adoration. He saw that prolonged exposure to the Eucharistic presence gradually restructures our souls, creating what he called sacred pathways through which divine grace can flow more freely. This explains why regular adorers often develop heightened spiritual sensitivity over time. Their souls have been rewired to receive God's communications more clearly. The transformation doesn't happen all at once, but in gentle, almost imperceptible stages. Like a master sculptor working patiently on marble, the Eucharistic presence chips away at our hardness, removes impurities, and gradually reveals the divine image hidden within. Padre Pio would often counsel those disappointed by not feeling immediate effects. The most profound work of grace happens invisibly, like the growth of roots beneath the soil. You may not see the change day by day, but suddenly you will discover that your spiritual life has developed in ways you never imagined. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of what Padre Pio witnessed was how Eucharistic adoration affects our relationship with others. He saw that as a person sat before the Blessed Sacrament, the light emanating from the host would gradually extend beyond them, stretching out to touch the lives of people connected to them, family members, friends, even those they had difficulty loving. This explains why many report that after committed time in adoration, their relationships begin to heal and transform, often without any direct action on their part. This ripple effect of grace extends even further than we might imagine. Padre Pio insisted that a single hour of genuine adoration could impact an entire community, as the grace received by one soul overflows to nourish others. God's economy is not like human economy, he would explain. In the spiritual realm, what one receives, many can share without diminishment. This is why the presence of even one committed adorer in a parish can become a hidden wellspring of grace for countless others. But what prevents us from experiencing these profound realities? Padre Pio identified several obstacles that block our spiritual senses. The most common is distraction, our minds racing with worldly concerns even as we kneel before the Lord. The noise of the world, he would say, drowns out the whisper of God. Another barrier is unconfessed sin that weighs on the soul like a heavy blanket, dulling our spiritual perception. Pride, too, creates a tremendous obstacle, approaching God with self-sufficiency rather than childlike trust. Padre Pio himself would spend hours preparing for Mass and Eucharistic adoration, purifying his intention and emptying himself of all that wasn't God. Come before him empty, he advised, so that he can fill you completely. This emptying wasn't about achieving some perfect spiritual state, but rather about honest acknowledgement of our need for God. He taught that humility creates the ideal conditions for divine encounter. The friar also noticed that many people sabotage their adoration experience by overthinking. They become so concerned with having the right thoughts or feelings that they miss the simple reality of being present with the Lord. His advice was refreshingly straightforward. Just be there. Your presence itself is a prayer. This approach liberates us from the pressure to perform spiritually and opens us to authentic encounter. A woman once traveled from America to see Padre Pio, devastated that she felt nothing during prayer despite her faithful practice. After confessing to him, she asked why God seemed absent to her. Padre Pio smiled gently and said, "My daughter, when you stand before the Blessed Sacrament, don't try to feel God. Simply know that He feels you. Your presence there is already a prayer. Your faithfulness, despite feeling nothing, is more precious to Him than all the emotions in the world." The woman later wrote that this understanding transformed her prayer life completely. She stopped seeking spiritual consolations and simply offered her presence, and paradoxically began experiencing profound encounters with God. Padre Pio also addressed the common problem of physical discomfort during adoration. Many find that bodily pain, fatigue, or restlessness prevents deep prayer. His counsel was both practical and profound. Offer these very discomforts as your adoration. When your knees ache, he would say, let that pain become your prayer. When your mind wanders, let your gentle return to focus become your offering. This transforms our very struggles into pathways of communion. Perhaps the most difficult obstacle is spiritual dryness. Those periods when God seems distant and prayer feels empty. Padre Pio experienced these dark nights himself, despite his extraordinary gifts. Yet he insisted these times can be the most fruitful of all. It is in darkness that faith is purified, he taught. When you feel nothing, but remain faithful anyway, your adoration reaches its highest form. The absence of spiritual consolation becomes an invitation to love God for Himself alone, not for His gifts. Now here comes the most astonishing revelation that Padre Pio shared about what happens when we approach the Blessed Sacrament. He described seeing Christ Himself emerging from the host to personally embrace each adorer. This wasn't just symbolic. Padre Pio witnessed Jesus extending His sacred hands to touch the head of each person, blessing them with precisely what they needed most, whether they realized it or not. Some received healing for physical ailments, others received clarity for difficult decisions. Still others received the grace to forgive deep wounds. But most profoundly, Padre Pio saw that every single person received a unique imprint of divine love, a sacred seal that marked them as having encountered the living God. No one, Padre Pio insisted, leaves the presence of the Eucharist unchanged. Even if they feel nothing, a transformation occurs at levels too deep for human perception. This spiritual reality explains why many people report feeling inexplicably different after spending time in adoration. Their problems haven't disappeared, their circumstances haven't changed, yet something within them has shifted. According to Padre Pio, this is because the Eucharist works at the level of our eternal soul, recalibrating our spiritual DNA to more closely resemble Christ's. This work happens slowly, imperceptibly, like seeds growing underground long before any sprout appears. Padre Pio witnessed that during adoration, Christ's gaze penetrates to our inmost being, seeing not just who we are, but who we are meant to become. His love responds not only to our present needs, but to our eternal destiny. This explains why adorers sometimes receive inspirations or promptings that only make sense years later. Jesus is preparing them for a future only He can see. The most moving aspect of this revelation was what Padre Pio observed happening at the moment when someone received Holy Communion with proper disposition. He saw the host radiating with such brilliance that it illuminated the recipient's entire body from within. For a brief sacred moment, the communicant's body itself became tabernacle-like, glowing with the same divine presence that emanates from the monstrance during adoration. This radiance would gradually diffuse throughout their being, concentrating especially in the heart, creating what Padre Pio called a throne of grace within the person. During this intimate communion, Padre Pio witnessed that Jesus speaks to each soul in a language beyond words, a direct communication from spirit to spirit. These divine communications bypass our intellect and emotions, planting seeds of grace that often germinate only later when we are ready to receive them. This explains why many people find that insights and resolutions emerge spontaneously in the hours or days following communion or adoration, seemingly from nowhere. Perhaps the most consoling aspect of what Padre Pio saw was how tenderly Christ responds to those who come to him in their brokenness. Far from being repelled by our wounds and failings, Jesus is drawn to them, much as a physician is drawn not to the healthy parts of a patient, but to the areas needing healing. Padre Pio observed that the more honest we are about our weakness and need, the more powerfully Christ's healing presence flows into those very areas. It is precisely your wounds, he would counsel, that attract his mercy most strongly. Don't hide them, present them to him with childlike trust. How can we apply these revelations to our own spiritual journey? Padre Pio offered several practical steps. First, prepare your heart before approaching the Blessed Sacrament. Spend a few moments in silent recollection, perhaps in your car or outside the church, letting go of distractions and setting your intention. Second, position yourself physically in a way that expresses reverence, kneeling if possible, with hands folded or open in reception. Your body's posture helps focus your spirit. Third, begin with an act of faith, acknowledging Christ's true presence. Lord, I believe you are truly here. Fourth, simply be present. Don't feel pressured to fill the time with words or formal prayers. Sometimes the most profound adoration is wordless contemplation. Padre Pio particularly recommended gazing directly at the host, what he called heart-to-heart communication. He suggested imagining the barriers between you and Christ dissolving, allowing his divine life to flow freely into yours. For those who struggle with distraction, he advised gently returning your attention to the present moment whenever you notice your mind wandering, without frustration or self-criticism. Distractions during prayer, he would console his spiritual children, when handled with peaceful persistence, can actually deepen your humility and dependence on God's grace. Another practical recommendation was to bring specific intentions to adoration, but to hold them with open hands. Present your needs, concerns, and the people you carry in your heart, then surrender them completely to divine wisdom. Padre Pio observed that our surrender often opens channels of grace that our specific requests might inadvertently limit. For those with busy schedules, Padre Pio emphasized that even brief visits to the Blessed Sacrament bear tremendous fruit. It is better, he would say, to spend 5 minutes with deep reverence than an hour with a distracted mind. This counsel liberates us from believing that only lengthy adorations are valuable. A momentary heart connection with the Eucharistic Lord can sustain us throughout our day. Perhaps his most practical advice concerned consistency. Rather than making dramatic commitments that prove unsustainable, Padre Pio recommended establishing a regular rhythm of adoration that can be maintained over time. Spiritual growth, he taught, comes not from occasional intensity, but from faithful persistence. This might mean a weekly holy hour, a brief daily visit, or something uniquely suited to your life circumstances. For those unable to physically visit a church due to illness, distance, or other constraints, Padre Pio taught the practice of spiritual communion and remote adoration. He assured his spiritual children that sincere desire to be united with the Eucharistic Lord creates a genuine spiritual connection, regardless of physical proximity. The Lord sees the heart, he would say, and honors its deepest intentions. As we draw this sacred journey to a close, remember that the most important element in Eucharistic adoration isn't what we do, but what we allow Christ to do in us. Padre Pio saw that the greatest miracles happened not to those who performed elaborate devotions, but to those who came with the simplest, most childlike trust. Those who simply showed up, opened their hearts, and said, "Jesus, I believe you are here. I offer you my presence. Do in me whatever you will." The mystical reality of the Blessed Sacrament that Padre Pio witnessed is accessible to each of us. Though we may not see with his supernatural vision, we can experience the same transformative power. The angels still gather, the rays of grace still extend, and Christ still reaches out from the host to touch each adorer personally. This isn't ancient history or distant theology. It's happening right now, in this very moment, in tabernacles throughout the world. Think of all we've explored today: the angelic presence surrounding the Eucharist, the rays of healing light, the divine imprinting that reconfigures our souls, and most profoundly, Christ's personal emergence to embrace each adorer. These realities continue whether we perceive them or not. They are independent of our feelings, transcending our limited senses, yet intimately available to our faith. Padre Pio's life was a testament to the power of Eucharistic devotion. From his earliest childhood, he was drawn to the tabernacle, often spending hours in silent communion with the hidden Jesus. This relationship formed him, sustained him through terrible trials, and empowered his extraordinary ministry of healing and reconciliation. What transformed him can transform us too. The invitation stands before each of us to approach the Blessed Sacrament not as a ritual or obligation, but as a personal encounter with love incarnate. To kneel before the host knowing that what appears as simple bread conceals the Creator of the universe, who waits for you with endless patience and tender affection. To allow yourself to be seen, known, and loved with a completeness that no human relationship can offer. If something in this message has touched your heart today, write "Adoration Transforms" in the comments below. Your testimony helps spread this powerful message to others who desperately need spiritual hope. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone whose faith might be strengthened by these revelations. And if you haven't already, become a member of our channel family to support our mission of spreading these sacred truths that the modern world has forgotten. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating content that deepens faith and inspires spiritual growth. Each like, share, and subscription helps these messages reach more souls who thirst for authentic spiritual nourishment in a world that often overlooks these profound realities. Remember, we're not just building a channel, we're fostering a community of believers committed to rediscovering the mystical treasures of our faith. Your participation matters more than you know. Together, we can help others experience the transformative power of Eucharistic presence that Padre Pio witnessed and lived. From the depths of my heart, I thank you for joining me in this exploration of what happens when we approach the Blessed Sacrament. May Padre Pio's powerful insights inspire you to spend more time in adoration, experiencing for yourself the supernatural reality that awaits beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Until next time, may God bless you abundantly, and may Our Lady keep you safe in her maternal embrace.